The moon was small, quiet, and cold. It orbited a dead gas giant that had no name. There were no stars nearby to warm it, only the distant glow of faraway suns. On its surface, hidden under layers of rock and ice, was a human colony called Haven 3. It had been there for over 200 years. No one on Earth knew it still existed. No alien species had ever found it. That was the plan. Stay silent. Stay hidden. Survive. The people of Haven 3 lived deep underground, carved into the bones of the moon. Their lights were dim. Their voices were soft. They grew food in glowing boxes and drank recycled water. Life was hard, but they were used to it. Lena Carter was 22. She worked in the machine room, fixing broken tools and old machines. Her hands were always dirty, her fingers calloused, but she liked it. Machines didn't talk back. They didn't argue about the past or worry too much about the future. They just needed care, and she gave it. She had grown up hearing stories from the elders, stories about Earth, about ships that flew between stars, about wars and lost colonies. But most of those stories felt like dreams. Nothing real, just something to keep hope alive when the lights flickered or the air filters failed. Eli Ramirez was 31. He used to be a scout, one of the few who went outside the tunnels to check the surface. He had seen the frozen ground, the sharp rocks, the silence. He had walked where no wind blew, where sound died quickly. He had come back with stories, but not many listened anymore. People didn't want to hear about what was out there. They wanted to believe they were safe. But Eli knew better. He sat near the edge of the main tunnel, watching the workers pass by. He saw Lena walking toward him, grease on her face and a tool in her hand. "You look tired," he said. "I am tired," she replied. "This old cooler unit keeps breaking. I fixed it 3 times this week." "You should make them build a new one." "They won't. Not unless it explodes." Eli smiled, but his eyes stayed serious. He looked around before speaking again. "Something's happening," he said. "What do you mean?" "I picked up a signal last night. Something not ours." Lena frowned. "What kind of signal?" "I don't know. It wasn't Zalari. It wasn't anything we've heard before." Lena shook her head. "You're imagining things again." "I'm not," he said. "I ran it through the system. It came from outside our orbit." "That's impossible. We're alone out here." Eli leaned closer. "Maybe not for much longer." Lena sighed. "Look, if you think there's something out there, tell the council. Let them deal with it." Eli looked at the floor. "They won't listen." "No, they won't," she agreed. "But that doesn't mean you should go chasing ghosts." He stood up. "I'll find out what it is, with or without you." Then he walked away. Later that night, Lena couldn't sleep. She lay on her thin mattress, staring at the ceiling. Eli's words stuck in her mind. A strange signal, something outside their orbit. She got up and pulled on her jacket. She walked through the dark halls of the colony until she reached the control room. Most people were asleep, but the computers were still running. She sat down and turned on the old scanner. It whirred to life, showing lines of data. She searched for recent signals. There was nothing unusual at first. Then she saw it, a faint blip buried in static. It had come from the outer edge of the moon's orbit. It wasn't a normal signal. It was short, sharp, like a distress call. She stared at it for a long time. Then she got up and left the room. The next day, Lena found Eli near the storage bay. "I saw it," she said. He looked surprised. "You checked?" "I did. You weren't imagining things." He nodded slowly. "We need to go see it." "You can't be serious." "We have to. If someone's out there, we need to know who and why they're calling us." "But the council—" "Forget the council," Eli said. "They'll say no, they always do." Lena hesitated. "If we get caught, we're in trouble." "So don't get caught," she groaned. "Fine. But if we die out there, I'm blaming you." Eli grinned. "Fair enough." That night, they took an old rover from the storage bay. It was slow and noisy, but it could move across the surface. They wore thick suits to keep warm and followed the coordinates from the signal. The moon was silent. The sky was black, filled with stars that never moved. The ground was cracked and icy. Every step made a crunching sound. After an hour of driving, they reached the location. There, half buried in the snow, was a ship, not theirs, not human. It was long and curved, with smooth metal and glowing lines along its sides. It looked damaged. Smoke rose from a crack in the hull. Lena stared at it. "Is that—" Eli stepped forward. "Yes." She grabbed his arm. "Wait, what if it's dangerous?" "It might be," he said, "but we can't leave it here." He approached the ship, carefully. Lena followed, her heart pounding. They found a hatch. It was sealed but not locked. Eli pressed a button. It hissed open, releasing a cloud of steam. Inside, the ship was dimly lit. The walls pulsed with soft blue light. It smelled metallic, like burnt wires and ozone. They moved deeper inside. The cockpit was empty. So were the other rooms. Then they heard a sound, a low moan. They followed it to a small chamber. Inside was a figure, lying on the floor. It was not human. It had 4 limbs, but its skin was dark and smooth, almost like stone. Its eyes were large and black. When it opened them, it looked scared. Lena backed up. Eli held up his hands. "We're not going to hurt you." The alien blinked. It tried to speak, but its voice was weak. Then it said, in broken English, "Help." Eli looked at Lena. "We can't leave it." She swallowed hard. "No, I guess we can't." Back at the colony, bringing the alien was risky. They couldn't just walk into the main hall with it, so they took it to an old maintenance room near the edge of the tunnels. They cleaned its wounds and gave it water. It didn't speak much, but it watched them carefully. Over the next few days, the alien began to recover. Its voice improved. It told them its name was Virek. It said it was part of a rebel group fighting against the Zalari Council. "The Zalari?" Lena asked. Eli looked shocked. "That's not possible." Virek nodded. "They are powerful. They hunt my kind. I was escaping. My ship crashed." Lena looked at Eli. "So the Zalari are real?" Eli didn't answer right away. He stared at the floor. Then he said, "And now they know we're here." The news spread fast. Some people were afraid. Others were curious. A few thought Virek was a spy. The council met in secret. They debated what to do. Some wanted to send Virek away. Others wanted to kill him. But Lena and Eli refused to let that happen. "He saved our lives," Lena argued. "We owe him." "We don't know that," one of the elders said. "He could be lying." "Why would he lie?" Eli asked. He had nowhere else to go. The debate lasted all night. In the end, the council decided to keep Virek, but under guard. They wouldn't trust him, but they wouldn't kill him either. Lena and Eli were allowed to stay with him. They learned more about the galaxy, about the Zalari, about the war, and about the danger that was coming. One morning, the alarms went off. Everyone rushed to the control room. The scanners showed movement in space, a ship, large, fast, coming toward them. Lena looked at the screen. "That's not us." Eli's face went pale. "It's them." Virek stood behind them. His voice was low. "Zalari." Lena turned to him. "How do you know?" "They track me. They follow my signal." Eli cursed. "We led them here." Lena's heart sank. "We have to warn everyone." The colony erupted into chaos. People ran through the tunnels, shouting. The council tried to take control. Outside, the Zalari ship hovered above the surface. Then the first beam fired. It hit the outer wall of the colony. Lights flickered. Dust fell from the ceilings. Lena looked at Eli. "We have to go." "To where?" he asked. "Anywhere but here." They grabbed what they could and ran toward the rover. Behind them, the world was falling apart. The ground shook again as another blast hit the outer wall of Haven 3. The lights flickered and then went out completely. Emergency lights came on, casting a dim red glow across the tunnels. Lena grabbed Eli's arm. "We have to move!" Eli was already running toward the storage bay. Behind them, people screamed and ran in every direction. Some were heading deeper into the colony, others toward emergency exits that led to the surface. Virek followed close behind, his dark skin shining under the red light. He didn't speak, but his eyes were wide with fear. They reached the rover. Just as a third beam struck the moon, the whole tunnel groaned like it was going to break apart. Eli jumped into the driver's seat. Lena climbed in beside him. Virek got into the back, pulling the door shut behind him. "Hold on," Eli shouted. He turned the key. The engine sputtered, coughed, and finally roared to life. The rover lurched forward, bouncing over broken ground. Dust filled the air inside the vehicle. Lena looked out the back window and saw smoke rising from the colony. "They're not landing," she said. "They're just shooting." "They don't need to land," Virek said. "If they destroy the outer shell, the colony will lose oxygen. Everyone will die." Eli drove fast through the icy terrain. The Zalari ship hovered above them, massive and silent. "We can't outrun that thing forever," Lena said. "I know," Eli replied. "But we don't need to outrun it. We just need to get far enough away before they finish what they started." They drove for nearly an hour before stopping near a ridge of jagged rocks. From there they could see the colony, and what was left of it. Smoke rose from deep within the tunnels. Fires burned along the edges of the surface base. There was no movement, no signs of life. Lena stared at it, her breath catching in her throat. "They're all gone." Eli didn't answer. He just watched. Virek sat quietly. His large black eyes reflected the distant flames. Finally, Lena whispered, "What do we do now?" Eli turned to her. "We keep moving. We find somewhere safe. And then what?" she asked. "We hide again? Wait for the next attack?" "No," he said. "We fight back." She looked at him like he was crazy. "Fight back? How? With what?" "We'll figure it out," he said. "But we can't stay here." They spent the night hiding in a shallow cave, sheltered from the wind. The temperature outside dropped, dangerously low. Inside, they huddled together for warmth. Virek spoke for the first time in hours. "You must leave this moon." Eli looked at him. "Why?" "The Zalari will come back. They will search for survivors. If they find you, they will kill you." Lena frowned. "How do you know that?" "Because I've seen it before," Virek said. "My people tried to hide once. We thought if we stayed quiet, they would leave us alone. But silence does not protect you. Only strength does." Eli nodded slowly. "So what do we do?" Virek looked at the old rover. "You have a ship?" "It's not much," Lena said. "It barely flies." "It's better than nothing," Virek said. "You must take it off-world. Find help. Build something new." Lena looked at Eli. "Can we do that?" "We have to," he said. At dawn, they returned to the rover and began making repairs. Lena worked hard, checking the engine, replacing parts, testing the flight systems. It wasn't perfect, but it might be enough. By midday, they were ready. They climbed aboard and lifted off, leaving the frozen moon behind. As they broke through the atmosphere, Lena looked down one last time. The colony was gone. Her home, her family, everything she had ever known. She wiped a tear from her eye. Eli placed a hand on her shoulder. "We'll make sure this wasn't for nothing." They traveled through space for days, jumping from one dead zone to another. The ship was slow and noisy. Food was limited. Sleep was harder to come by, but they kept moving. One night, while scanning nearby space, Lena picked up a signal. Not Zalari, something else. She leaned closer to the screen. "There's someone out there." Eli came over. "Where?" She pointed. "A few light years ahead. Weak signal, but it's real." Eli looked at Virek. "Any idea who it is?" Virek studied the data. "Could be traitors. Could be rebels. Or it could be worse. What's worse than Zilari? Lena asked. There are many things, Virek said. Some species care only for themselves. Others hunt for sport. Eli took a deep breath. We go anyway. Lena gave him a look. Are you serious? We need allies, he said. We need weapons. We need to learn how to survive out here. She sighed. Fine. But if we end up getting eaten, I'm haunting you first. Eli smirked. Fair enough. They followed the signal until they found the source, a small station orbiting a rocky planet. It looked old, patched together with mismatched parts. Lights blinked slowly along its hull. As they approached, a voice crackled over the comms. This is Station Theta 9. Identify yourself. Eli stepped forward. This is, Lena nudged him. Tell them we're humans. He cleared his throat. This is a human vessel. We're looking for shelter. There was a pause. Then the voice replied, Humans? That's a name I haven't heard in a long time. The docking bay opened. Welcome aboard, the voice said. Inside the station, they met the crew. Most were not human. There were two reptilian beings with sharp teeth and glowing eyes, a tall, insect-like alien who clicked when it spoke, and a human woman named Maggie, who wore a worn-out pilot's jacket and smoked something that smelled like burnt leaves. You're really human? Maggie asked, staring at them. As far as we know, Lena said. Maggie laughed. Well, damn. Thought your kind was extinct. Eli frowned. Why? Zilari wiped out most of your colonies a long time ago, she said. Guess you missed that party. Lena looked at Virek. Is that true? Virek nodded. Yes. Many human worlds were destroyed. Maggie offered them food and drinks. So what brings you out here? You're not exactly dressed for deep space. Travel. Eli told them everything. About Haven 3, about the crash, about the attack. When he finished, Maggie lit another cigarette. Sounds like you kids just walked into a war. We didn't ask for it, Lena said. But it found us. Anyway. Maggie studied them for a moment, then she smiled. Well, welcome to the galaxy. Over the next few weeks, Lena and Eli learned more about the universe. Maggie introduced them to other travelers. Humans who had survived the Zilari attacks, aliens who fought against the Council, and smugglers who moved goods between rebel worlds. They learned how to use alien tech, how to fly faster ships, how to talk without being killed. And they made a decision. They wouldn't run anymore. They would fight. One night, Lena sat alone on the observation deck, watching the stars. Eli joined her. You okay? He asked. She nodded. Just thinking. About what? Everything, she said. Haven 3, my parents. What we lost. Eli sat beside her. I think about them too. She looked at him. Do you think they'd be proud of us? Hope so, he said. We're trying to make sure their lives weren't wasted. She smiled a little. Yeah. He looked at the stars. We're not just surviving anymore. We're building something. She leaned her head on his shoulder. We're not hiding in the shadows. No, he said. We're rising. Their time on the station didn't last long. One day, a message arrived from a distant world called New Hope. It was a hidden human settlement, built in secret. They needed help. They knew about Haven 3. They wanted to unite. Lena and Eli packed their things. Virek came with them. As they boarded a new ship, a sleek, fast fighter, they looked back at the station. Maggie waved goodbye. Good luck, kids, she said. Don't let the bastards win. Eli smiled. We won't. They lifted off, leaving the station behind. Ahead of them was a new world, a new fight, and a chance to change everything. The journey to New Hope was long. The ship they had taken from Station Theta 9 was fast but not fancy. It rattled when it flew and groaned when it landed. But it worked. Lena sat near the front, watching the stars blur past as they jumped through hyperspace. Eli was behind her, checking the systems. Virek stayed quiet, looking out the window like he was thinking about something far away. They had been traveling for almost 2 weeks, stopping only to refuel or trade for supplies. Along the way, they met others, humans hiding in secret bases, alien rebels fighting against the Zalari, and traders who moved goods between worlds that didn't want to be found. Each stop gave them more hope and more questions. "Do you think we'll really find people like us on New Hope?" Lena asked one night. Eli looked up from his tools. "I don't know," he said. "But if there's even a chance, we have to go." She nodded. "Yeah." Virek finally spoke. "If this world is real, then it is dangerous." Eli frowned. "Why?" "Because the Zalari hunt all who resist," Virek said. "If humans are building something new, they will come." Lena swallowed hard. "Then we'd better be ready." When they arrived at New Hope, it wasn't what they expected. From space, it looked like just another planet. Gray clouds, green land, blue oceans. Nothing special. But when they landed, they saw the truth. There were humans here. Lots of them. Tents, buildings, ships, and machines covered the ground like a city built in pieces. People walked around with weapons slung over their backs. Children played near old vehicles. Smoke rose from cooking fires. It was alive. Lena stepped out of the ship and looked around. "This place, it's real." A man approached them. He was tall with short hair and tired eyes. He wore a heavy coat and carried a small gun at his side. "You must be the ones from Theta 9, he said. Eli nodded. "We are. I'm Eli. This is Lena and Virek." The man shook their hands. "Name's Carl. Welcome to New Hope." Carl led them through the camp, showing them around. There were kitchens, repair bays, classrooms, and training fields. People trained with guns every day. Some learned how to fly ships. Others studied alien tech. "We've been building this place for years," Carl said. "Ever since the Zalari started taking our homes." Lena looked at him. "How many of us are there?" Carl shrugged. "Hard to say. Maybe 5,000 across all the hidden colonies, not enough." Eli asked, "What do you plan to do?" Carl stopped walking and looked at them. "Survive. For now. Maybe fight back later." Virek stepped forward. "You cannot wait. The Zalari will not give you time." Carl sighed. "We know, but we're not ready yet." Over the next few days, Lena and Eli helped wherever they could. They fixed broken machines, taught others how to use alien tech, and shared stories of Haven 3. People listened. Some cried, others got angry. One evening, a group of leaders gathered in a large tent. They wanted to hear everything Lena and Eli knew. Carl sat at the head of the table. Around him were men and women from different parts of the settlement. Some were soldiers. Others were engineers or teachers. Eli stood and told them about the attack on Haven 3, about the Zalari ship, about how they had escaped and traveled across space. When he finished, the room was silent. Then an older woman named Wang Mei spoke. "So you think the Zalari will come here too?" "They already know we exist," Lena said. "We sent signals, we made ourselves known." Carl rubbed his chin. "That means we can't hide forever." "No," Eli agreed. "And maybe we shouldn't." Everyone looked at him. "What do you mean?" May asked. Eli took a deep breath. "Hiding kept us safe for a while, but it won't keep us safe forever. If we want to live, we need to stand up." Lena nodded. "We need to fight." Some people shifted in their seats. Others exchanged worried looks. Carl leaned forward. "You're saying we should start a war." Eli looked him in the eye. "I'm saying we need to make sure no one else loses their home like we did." Silence filled the room again. Finally, Carl spoke. "Then we'd better get ready." Training began the next day. Soldiers drilled in the open fields. Engineers worked on old ships. Medics practiced treating wounds. Everyone had a job. Lena helped teach people how to fix alien tech. She showed them how to take apart Zalari weapons and reprogram them. She taught them how to read enemy signals and avoid detection. Eli trained fighters. He taught them how to move quietly, how to set traps, how to survive in the wild. He pushed them hard, harder than anyone expected. At night, he and Lena talked about what came next. "We can't stay here forever," Lena said one evening. "I know," Eli replied. "But we need time." "To do what?" "To build something stronger." She looked at the sky. "You think we can really win?" He thought for a moment. "I don't know, but I know we can't lose again." Weeks passed, then months. New hope grew. More humans arrived. Some came alone. Others brought whole families. Refugees from lost colonies, survivors from destroyed worlds. They built walls. They dug tunnels. They stored food and fuel. They trained every day, and they waited. Then, one morning, the alarms went off. Lena was in the machine shop when she heard the sound. She dropped her tools and ran outside. Eli was already there, looking up at the sky. Above them, a dark shape appeared, a Zalari warship. It hovered silently, scanning the surface. Lena felt her heart drop. "They found us." Carl's voice came, over the comms. "All units prepare for defense." People rushed into position. Soldiers took cover. Civilians ran for shelter. Virek joined Lena and Eli. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp. "They will not land." "Not yet." Eli asked, "What do they want?" "To scare us," Virek said. "To test us." Lena looked at the ship. "Then let's show them we're not afraid." The Zalari didn't attack that day, or the next. They just watched, waiting, testing. But the people of New Hope didn't break. They held their ground, and something changed, not just in them, but in the galaxy. Word spread quickly. Other human settlements heard about New Hope. Some sent messages. Others sent help. And for the first time in generations, humanity did something bold. They answered, not with fear, not with silence, with fire in their hearts and weapons in their hands. They declared that they would not hide anymore. They would rise, and they would fight. The Zalari warship stayed above New Hope for 3 more days. It never landed, never fired a shot. But its presence was enough to send a message. You are being watched. People in the settlement grew tense. Some wanted to fight. Others wanted to run. Carl held meetings every night, trying to keep everyone calm. Lena and Eli stood by his side. "We can't let fear take over," Eli said during one meeting. "If we start turning on each other, the Zalari win without even lifting a finger." Carl nodded. "He's right. We need to be smart. We need to stay united." But unity wasn't easy. Some people began to argue about what to do next. Should they keep hiding? Should they strike first? Should they reach out to other human groups? Then came the first betrayal. A man named Danny, who had been part of the scouting team, disappeared with important data about their defenses. Few days later, a small Zalari scout ship was spotted near the edge of the planet. It didn't attack. It just observed. It was clear Danny had sold them out. Eli found Lena in the machine shop, tightening bolts on an old rifle. She looked tired. "You heard about Danny?" she asked. Eli nodded. "Yeah, Carl's got people tracking him." She sighed. "I don't get it. Why would he do that?" "Fear," Eli said. "Or maybe he thought giving them something would save him." Lena shook her head. "It won't." "No," Eli agreed. "It won't." The betrayal made things worse. People started questioning who they could trust. Some families packed up and left, heading deeper into space in search of safer places. Virek warned them this would happen. The galaxy does not welcome the weak, he told them, and it does not forgive the unprepared. Lena frowned. "So what? We just keep fighting until we're all dead?" Virek looked at her calmly. "No. You learn. You grow stronger. And you find allies." That gave Eli an idea. "We should leave," he said one night. Lena looked surprised. Leave? Leave New Hope? Yes, he said. We need to see what else is out there. We need to meet others like us. We need to build something bigger than just one settlement. Carl was not happy when he heard the plan. You want to go out there? He asked. With everything falling apart? Eli nodded. Exactly because of that. If we stay here, we'll keep losing people. But if we move, if we reach out, we might have a chance. Carl rubbed his face. You're asking me to let two of my best fighters walk into the unknown. Lena stepped forward. We've already done that once. Carl looked at her, then at Eli, then at Virek. Finally, he sighed. Fine, but you come back with something real, something that can help us. We will, Eli promised. They took a small ship, a fast one with enough fuel for short jumps across space. They carried tools, weapons, and messages from New Hope, their mission. Find other human survivors and form alliances. Their first stop, a place called Echo Base, hidden on a frozen moon near a dying star. Getting there was hard. They had to avoid Zalari patrols, navigate through unstable space zones, and fix the ship twice after engine failures. When they finally arrived, they found a small but strong group of humans living underground, much like Haven 3 used to be. The leader, a woman named Antina, greeted them with caution. You're not the first ones we've seen, she said, but you might be the first ones worth listening to. Eli told her everything, about New Hope, about the Zalari, about the war that was coming. Tina listened carefully. When he finished, she looked at Lena. What do you want from us? Lena met her eyes. Not much. Just to know we're not alone. Tina smiled slightly. You're not. Over the next few weeks, they traveled to other human settlements, some big, some small. Each had its own way of surviving. Some fought, some hid, some traded with alien rebels. At each stop, Lena and Eli shared news from New Hope. They offered hope. They asked for help. And slowly, something began to change. Humans were no longer just scattered survivors. They were starting to become a force. But the Zalari noticed, as Lena, Eli, and Virek moved between worlds, Zalari ships appeared. More often, patrols increased. Attacks began happening again. One night, while staying at a base on a desert world, they received a message from New Hope. It was Carl. They hit us, he said through the comms. Zalari dropped a bomb near the outer wall. We lost people. We need help. Lena stared at the screen, heart pounding. Eli turned to Virek. Can we get back in time? Virek checked the coordinates. If we jump now, yes. Eli looked at Lena. Let's go. The trip back was rough. They jumped through dangerous zones, dodged enemy ships, and barely escaped a Zalari patrol near a gas giant. When they returned to New Hope, the damage was worse than they expected. Half the camp was gone. Fires still burned. People walked around in shock. Carl met them outside the command tent. You're just in time, he said grimly. Eli looked around. How bad is it? Carl shook his head. Bad. We held our ground, but we lost too many. Lena clenched her fists. Why did they attack now? Carl looked at her. Because we stopped hiding. Because we started moving. Because we became a threat. Eli stepped forward. Then we make sure they know we're still here. They rebuilt as fast as they could. New walls were raised. Weapons were repaired. Fighters trained harder than ever. But something else changed too. More humans arrived. From Echo Base. From other hidden colonies. Even some alien rebels sent support. The Zalari had tried to scare them. Instead, they had united them. One night, Lena sat with Eli near a fire. The sky above was full of stars. She looked at him. Do you think we're doing the right thing? Eli nodded. I do. We're not just surviving anymore. We're building something real. She smiled a little. Yeah, I guess we are. He looked at the stars. And we're not going back into the shadows. No, she said, we're rising. The Zalari were coming. Everyone in New Hope knew it now. They had sent small ships before. Scouts, spies, attack drones. But this time, it was different. A message came through from one of the lookouts near the edge of the settlement. Big ship. On radar, moving fast. Looks like a command vessel. Carl stood in the main tent, surrounded by leaders, soldiers, and engineers. Maps were spread across the table. Weapons lay ready nearby. Lena and Eli stood at his side. "They're not just watching us anymore," Eli said. "No," Carl agreed. "This is a full attack." Lena looked around the room. "Then we fight back." Carl nodded slowly. "We have to protect our people. If we lose here, there may not be another chance for any of us." Virek stepped forward. "I can help. I know how the Zalari think. I know their weaknesses." Carl studied him for a moment. Then he said, "Tell us what you need." That night they made their plan. New Hope wasn't big enough to win a straight-up fight. They didn't have the numbers or the weapons, but they had something else. They had heart, and they had surprise. Eli led the front team. Lena worked with the tech squad. Virek helped set traps and break into enemy systems. People who had never held a weapon before trained all night. Carl gave a speech to everyone gathered in the field. "This isn't just about us," he said. "This is about every human hiding in the dark, every family that's lost someone, every person who wants to live free." He looked out at the crowd. "We've been hiding too long," he continued. "Tonight we show the galaxy that humanity is not gone. We are not afraid. We rise." The crowd cheered. Lena looked at Eli. "You ready?" He smiled. "Been ready." The Zalari arrived just before dawn. Their ship dropped from the sky like a shadow, landing near the outer wall of the settlement. Heavy doors opened. Soldiers marched out, tall, armored, cold-eyed. They moved in perfect lines. Then they attacked. Lasers lit up the sky. Explosions shook the ground. People ran for cover. The battle had begun. Lena was in the machine shop, working. With a small team to control the turrets and repair broken weapons, she kept an ear on the comms, listening for updates. "Left flank holding," a voice said. "Right side taking heavy fire," another shouted. "Get those shields up." Carl ordered. Eli was outside, moving with his team through the trenches. He fired bursts from his rifle, keeping the Zalari pinned down. Nearby, Virek hacked into their comm system, feeding them false data. "They think we're retreating," he told Eli over the radio. "It will confuse them for a few minutes." "That's all we need," Eli replied. But the Zalari were strong. Too strong. One of the walls collapsed under a heavy blast. Several fighters were buried beneath the rubble. Carl called for retreat. "No!" Lena shouted into the radio. "If we pull back now, they'll take everything." "I know," Carl said. "But we need a new plan." Eli looked around. "What? If we hit them where they don't expect?" "What do you mean?" Carl asked. "Their ship," Eli said. "It's their base. If we damage it, they'll have to pull back." Lena's eyes lit up. "Yes, we can plant charges inside." Carl frowned. "That's suicide." Eli stepped forward. "Then let me go." "No," Lena said. "Let us go." Carl looked at them both. Finally, he nodded. "Go. Fast." Lena, Eli, and Virek took a small hovercraft and raced toward the Zalari ship. Lasers shot past them. Smoke filled the air. They dodged behind rocks and wreckage. They reached the ship and climbed onto the hull. Virek found an access panel and opened it. "This way," he said. They slipped inside. Inside, the ship was quiet but deadly. Patrol bots moved silently through. The halls. Lights flickered red. They moved quickly, planting explosive charges along key points. Fuel lines, power cores, engine controls. When they finished, Lena looked at Eli. "You ready?" He nodded. "Yeah." They ran back the way they came. Just as they jumped off the ship, the first explosion went off. Then the second. Then the third. The whole ship shook. Smoke and fire burst from its sides. The Zalari soldiers stopped fighting. They turned and ran back to their damaged ship. People in New Hope watched in shock. Then someone shouted, "They're leaving!" More cheers followed. Carl's voice came through the comms. "Hold the line! Don't let them regroup!" The remaining Zalari tried to reorganize, but without their ship, they were vulnerable. After a final push, they retreated into space. The battle was over, and they had won. The next morning, the sun rose over a broken battlefield. People walked among the ruins, helping the wounded, burying the dead. There was no celebration, only silence. Lena sat near the edge of the camp, staring. At the horizon, Eli joined her. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded. Tired, sad, but proud. He sat beside her. "We did it." She looked at him. "We survived." He smiled. "No, we did more than that." She tilted her head. "What do you mean?" "We proved something," he said. "That we're not just hiding in the shadows anymore." She smiled. "We rose." He nodded. "Yeah, we did." Over the next few weeks, word spread. Humans had fought back. Humans had won. Across the galaxy, hidden colonies began reaching out. Some wanted to join. Others offered supplies. Even alien rebels started paying attention. New Hope became more than a settlement. It became a symbol. Carl stood on top of a hill one day, looking out at the growing town. Virek joined him. "You did well," the alien said. Carl smiled. "We all did." Virek looked at the stars. "The war is not over." Carl nodded. "No, but now we have a fighting chance." Lena and Eli stood on the bridge of a newly built human starship. It was sleek, fast, strong. Behind them, pilots and engineers prepared for launch. Lena looked at the screen. "All systems green," a voice reported. Eli looked at her. "Ready?" She smiled. "Always." They lifted off. As they broke through the atmosphere, Lena looked down at the world below. New Hope, a place born from fear, now filled with light. She turned to Eli. "Where to?" she asked. He looked at the map. "Everywhere," he said.